That's great. So now let's go for the next lesson, that is Introduction to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So first, let's understand what is this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So what I can say is this Gen 2 this is the storage account you're having. So inside that will be providing you the directory level storage. So this will be supporting you with the distributed cloud storage and the Hadoop data file system compatibility will also be supported for you, and this will help you to store your files in the folder, and also with the container level you can store your files, and this will also help you to provide the security for your folder level, also for the file level also. So that is why this storage account is quite familiar for data analytical operations only, and so only we probably use this ADLS account only, that is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. So this account is basically built on your Azure storage itself, but whenever you're building it, make sure you enable hierarchical namespace option so that this will be converted as a ADLS Gen 2 account. So whenever you are using this ADLS Gen 2 account, this will be providing you with high performance and scalability, and it will also help you with data redundancy through built-in replication, we can say. Okay. And next we have is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 versus Azure Blob Storage. So as I discussed, this Blob Storage will not provide you with hierarchical namespace compatibility. So you cannot have this folder level or the directory level, file level permissions is not supported here. But instead, whatever you store it here, it will be taken as a blobs only. So only as it is not supporting you with hierarchical namespace, we are actually going with this ADLS Gen 2 account that is providing you with the hierarchical namespace option. So this is the major difference between this Azure Blob Storage and Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, we can say. So now let's have a quick knowledge check on this. So Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 stores the data in, yes, you're right. It actually stores the data in an HDFS compatible file system hosted in a Azure storage. So what option must you enable to use Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2? Yes, as I discussed, you are supposed to enable hierarchical namespace option so that it will be taken as a ADLS Gen 2 account. That's right. Now let's go for the next lesson, Introduction to Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so here you need to understand what is this Azure Synapse Analytics, and what all operations and what all functionality it will provide, and why it is called as a very much powerful tool. See, Azure Synapse Analytics is one of the Azure service that will actually combine multiple data integration, processing, and also the analytical capabilities. So the core Azure resource is a workspace here. So but the overall service can include multiple other Azure resources also, that is actually depending on the capabilities of your usage. So for example, an Azure storage account resource is created to support a data lake for the workspace, and a SQL Spark or a data explorer pool or a resource is actually created to provide the compute services for your data processing, and also for the other resources may be created to support the overall solution, we can say. And this data engineers generally don't need to manage these resources independently, but they rather use in Azure Synapse Studio that web interface they will be using, as this is the web interface you can see that is over the slide, to manage all the service as a whole. Okay, and using this tool you can build large scale data warehousing solutions, and you can perform advanced analytics, you can do data exploration and discovery, and you can perform real time analytics. Data integration is possible, and integrated analytics is also possible. Okay, this is what we call it as Synapse Analytics. So if you are working with the files in a data lake, so first of all, Azure Synapse Workspace generally has a default or a primary data lake storage that is actually implemented as an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 container. So you can attach multiple data lake sources to the workspace as required, and there is a lot of data engineering task that is actually involving with ingesting data files into data lake, processing and transforming the files in the data lake, and loading the data from data lake files into analytical stores, we can say. Okay, so you can also work with files in a data lake like this. And you can also perform ingest and transformation data within the pipelines also. To do that, you have an integrate sections within these Azure Synapse Analytics. So from there, you can get this like you can get this screen so that you can do perform these pipeline operations. So whatever options you can see it here, this is a built-in functionality. The same thing you can find it on the Azure Data Factory for building the pipelines. So here you can do the orchestrate activities to ingest, transform and load the data, and you can also integrate with the other data services also. That is also possible. And you can also do some query and manipulating the data with SQL language also. So basically SQL is one of the core skill for any data professionals and also for many students who are likely to be familiar with SQL language and also the SQL server based databases. So the key point to make here is that Azure Synapse Analytics will also provide you with two similar but distinct SQL services. Like a default serverless SQL pool is there, that is actually used to apply SQL operations to the structured data files in the data lake. And it also have the ability to create multiple dedicated SQL pools also, that are essentially the instances of what was previously called as Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and which are actually used to implement enterprise scale massively parallelly processing relational data warehousing solution. So we will also be discussing this in the later modules. So as of now, you just think over the overview of this Synapse Analytics. So you can also process and analyze the data with Apache Spark. So as you know, Apache Spark is an open source platform that actually evolved from big data technologies like Hadoop and Hive, we can say. And it's designed to provide high scalability by distributing data processing across multiple worker nodes in a cluster, and can also process jobs that are actually written in variety of programming languages including Python, Scala, Java, SQL and others. While you can run jobs that are actually submitted as a scripts or compiled executables, like you can also run some Java jars also. So it's extremely common for data engineers and also for the data analyst to use Spark interactively through the notebooks. Okay, you can also have the integrated notebook experience also within this. And you can also explore with Data Explorer. So Data Explorer is a standalone Azure service that will actually provide you a custom data analytical engine. So in addition to the standalone service, you can create the Data Explorer pool in an Azure Synapse Analytics workspace to integrate this custom data analytics with the rest of your enterprise data analytics, we can say. So basically, this Custo is particularly effective for querying and also analyzing the streams of real-time data, such as log files or the data from Internet of Things devices, we can say. So now we have this demo of exploring this Azure Synapse Analytics. So let's look into this demo and continue further.
Okay, now we are in the portal right now. You can see this is portal.azure.com. I have just signed into the portal right now. Let's use this window. This is a Cloud Shell window we call, and I'll just expand this to the top. Here, let me deploy this Synapse Analytics and required resources of this lab using this PowerShell. Okay, let me click on this PowerShell. If it asks you to create a storage, currently it is telling you that you have no storage mounted. You are supposed to create a storage. So for that, what you can do is click on this create storage. Why? Because to handle all of these things, you need one storage account, right? So it is asking you to create one storage account under your subscription. So you need to wait for it to create the storage account. See, once it has been succeeded, this PowerShell will actually provide you a command line interface. Okay. So you need to wait for this. It is connecting to the terminal right now. It has been connected, and below it will be providing you with the command line interface. You need to enter the command. Okay. So let me write a command so that you will be cloning a repository from the GitHub. Okay. We have all the resources on the GitHub. So if you write a command here, all of those things will be cloned and it will be dropped in your resources. So for that, what I will be doing is, let me first remove this. I am using rm-r dp 203 minus f command. I'm using this command, and then so this is the GitHub link. From this link, I'm cloning all the resource to the folder dp203. So you need to completely wait for this process to complete, and you should not get any error in getting this. And you can refer to your manual for this link. You can directly copy and paste the link, or else you can actually type like this. That's also possible. Now, after you clone this, after you get all of these resources, now you need to enter the command. So to change the folder for this exercise, and you need to run a setup.ps1 script so that it will deploy all of the required resources. Let me paste this command. Now it is starting the script. You should not interrupt this process. You need to wait until the script gets executed completely. Okay. Now it is asking you to enter the password for your SQL user. See, later on we will be using the SQL services, right? For that, you need to authenticate it. So it will be authenticated through a password. To authenticate through a password, you need to set a password. So globally, currently the acceptable password is Tucker not 2014. So I recommend you to use this. Now press on enter, and you need to wait for this to complete registering the resources. Okay. So it is now registering your Microsoft.Synapse. It has been registered, and Microsoft.SQL has been registered, and Microsoft.Storage has been registered right now. And for you, there will be a randomly generated suffix. So here the suffix is 9yxleiw for me. Whenever you deploy, it might be different for you. Okay. So this will resemble your workspace aliases, we can say. Okay, there will be a suffix for all of your resources. So you can expect this suffix will be created for all of your resources at the end, so that you can remember it whenever you are working. So basically, to complete this script, it would hardly take 15 to 20 minutes as a minimum. You need to wait for it to completely be successful. Okay, now the resources being deployed to South Central US, you can see.
Now all the relevant resources has been deployed successfully. Now we need to proceed with the next step.
Minimize this PowerShell, and let me go to this home, and I'll go to this resource groups. And now you can see you have been deployed with Cloud Shell Storage, Southeast Asia, DP203, and here you can see the suffix, and you have deployed with one of the Synapse workspace. If you go to this resource group, you can see a storage account has been created, Apache Spark pool has been created, dedicated SQL pool has been created, Synapse workspace has been created, and Data Explorer pool is also created. Okay, so this confirms that you have completed successfully the deployment of all of these resources, we can say. In the next exercise, we will be doing the exploring of Synapse Studio. And you all know that Synapse Studio is a web-based portal, so in which you can manage and work with the resources in your Azure Synapse Analytics workspace. So after you finish the script in the Azure portal, you need to go to this resource group, and you need to note all of these things, like what all resources is being deployed. And here you need to search for a Synapse workspace. Okay, and here you have one Synapse workspace, and this is your data lake account. That storage account is being created, and you can see a Spark pool, data explorer pool, and a dedicated SQL pool is being there. Now you need to select your Synapse workspace. This is your Synapse workspace. You need to select this. After you select the Synapse workspace, you need to just scroll down. In this overview pane, you need to go to this window. Here you need to click on this open Synapse Studio. You need to click on this open to open the Synapse Studio in a new browser tab. As it's a web-based interface you can use to work with your Synapse Analytics workspace, it will be separated in a new tab, and you can observe your Synapse accounts suffix, everything is been there. Now to see the options, so let me expand this. So here you can see the different pages within the Synapse Studio that you will be using to manage the resources and perform the data analytics task. Okay, so here you have this home, data, develop, integrate, monitor, and manage pages. Everything is there. Now we'll go to this data page. Here you can observe, once you go to the data page, there are two tabs containing the data sources. That is, one is a workspace tab. This contains the databases which is defined in the workspace, that will be having the dedicated SQL database and data explorer database. This is the data explorer database. This is a SQL database, we can say. And if you go to the linked tab, this contains the data sources that are actually linked to the workspace. So this include Azure Data Lake account, where you can see all of its relevant data, whatever is present in the storage account, everything can be seen here. Now let's explore this develop page. So currently this develop page is empty. This is where you can define your scripts and other assets, which is used to develop the data processing solutions, we can say. And you can go to this integrate page. This is also currently empty, and you use this page to manage the data ingestion, integration assets such as pipelines to transfer and transform the data between data resources. You can use it here. And you can go to this monitor page. This is where you can observe the data processing jobs. Okay, so here you can actually see what all jobs are actually running, and their history and everything you can actually see here. Okay, and if you go to this manage page, here this is where you manage the pools, runtimes. Here you will be managing the pools, and you will be having the external connections, runtimes, and everything you will be managing here. And here you can also see the analytical pools, everything is there. So here SQL pools, Apache Spark pools, data explorer pools, you can see the relevant data according to the separation they have made. If you go to the SQL pools, here you will be having two things. One is built-in. So this built-in is nothing but it's a serverless SQL pool that you basically use on demand to explore or process the data in a data lake by using the SQL commands. So if you go to this dedicated SQL pool, that is basically used to host a relational data warehouse database, we can say. If you go for the Apache Spark pools, Here you can see one Spark pool is being created. So you can use on demand to explore or process the data in a data lake by using the programming languages, like you can use Scala or Python. Okay, and if you go for this data explorer pools, here you can see a data explorer pools, one thing has been created, so that you can use to analyze the data by using a custom query language. We basically call it as a KQL. Okay, so these things is there. Now after performing the exploration, now let's do one task of ingesting a data with a pipeline. Okay, here one of the key tasks that you're gonna perform with Azure Synapse Analytics is to define pipelines that will basically transfer. That is, if anything is necessary, you can also do the transformation. Here you will be transferring the data from a wide range of sources into your workspace for analysis, we can say. Okay, now let's do this task. Okay, so as a first step, we need to use the copy data task to create a pipeline. So to do that, in a Synapse Studio, we need to go for this home page and you need to use this option called ingest. Just click on this ingest. If you click on this ingest, you will be navigated to copy data tool. Okay. Now we are in the first step of properties. So here in this properties, you need to ensure that built-in copy task is selected, not the metadata driven copy task. Okay. This built-in copy task is being selected. You need to make sure, and you need to check whether run once now option is being selected. Post this, click on next. Next, after setting the properties, we are in the source step. So in the source, we need to provide the source from where you will be getting the data. Okay. So let the source type be all, and let the connection type. Okay. Let's configure this connection type. So whenever you're configuring this connection type, you need to create a new connection, and in the link service pane, you need that thing will be appearing. Okay. And here what I'll do, I'll just click on this new connection. If you click on this new connection, here you will be seeing many streams like all Azure databases and everything has been there. Now what you need to do is you need to go for a file tab. In the file tab, select the source as HTTP. Okay, select the source as HTTP. Then you need to click on continue. Okay, after you click on continue, you need to create a connection, that is new connection to a data file using this following steps. Let the name, change the name to products, change the name to products, change the description to product list via HTTP. Give this description. Okay. Next, connect via integration runtime. Let it be auto resolve integration runtime only. Now you need to provide the base URL. So from which URL you are getting the data. Now I am putting this base URL. You can refer the manual and you can paste this URL from that. So I'm getting from a repository called from this location I'm getting product.csv file, and for this server certificate validation, let it be enabled, and authentication type, why? Because this file is freely available on the web, I am using the authentication option to anonymous, so that you need any authentication by providing any username and password is not required. And once you complete creating this connection, click on create. So now the connection is being created successfully. After the connection is being created, you need to select the source data. Okay, so the source data is being in this source data page. You need to have all of this following settings selected. Okay, so you have this relative URL, just leave it blank. Request method, let it be get. Then additional headers, let it be blank. Binary copy, you should not select this, let it leave unselected. Request timeout is unselected, like it is left blank. And maximum concurrent connections, so concurrently with this having any apps has been integrated to this, like we don't have any concurrent connections for this file, so you should leave this blank and you need to click on next. And in this next step, what you need to do is in the configuration step, this is a sub step of this source file. Here you need to select preview data, okay, to check whether the data is available on the link. Yes, so now you can see the preview of the product data. So this data will be ingested by the pipeline. Okay, now let me close this preview. Okay, after previewing the data, now let me go for file format settings. Okay, so here what to do is, see here you have this file format settings we have. So you should ensure certain settings. So the file format will be delimited text, column delimiter will be comma, row delimiter will be this one, line feed, and first row as a header is being selected. Compression type, we are not compressing the data, so let it be none. Now let's go for the destination page. In the destination step, what you need to do is you need to select this destination type as, we are writing this file to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. So you need to select Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. Select the connection as this one, this existing one you select. Now you need to see the folder path, to which folder path you need to write this file. You need to specify that. So in this folder path you can browse. So this is your Data Lake Gen2. Here you need to select this folder. Inside this folder, let me select this folder first. Inside this files, I am storing it inside product data folder. So this is the path where your file will be stored. File name will be products.csv. This will be the file name, and this copy behavior will be none. Maximum concurrent connections, let it be blank. Block size, just leave it blank. Now click on next for the configuration substep. So in the configuration substep, you need to provide this file format settings. Let it be delimited text for the file format. Column delimited will be comma. Row delimiter will be this one, line feed /n. Add header to the file, selected. Compression type, let it be none. Maximum rows per file, let it be blank. And file name prefix, let it be blank. Now click on next. Now in the settings pane, let me give the task name as copy products. Now in the task description, I'll give copy products data, and fault tolerance I'll be leaving it blank. Enable logging I'll leaving it unselected, and enable staging leaving it unselected. Now click on next. Now this is the summary you need to review, and click on next. Okay, now it started to deploy. So let this complete. Okay, you can see now the deployment is being completed. Now click on finish. So let's go to this monitor page and check the status. Here you can see the pipeline runs. Just come this side. Here the status is being succeeded. Okay, so to check whether this is being completed or not, let me go to this integrate page. So to check whether this pipeline exists or not, in the integrate page you need to see, if you expand this pipeline, you should see this copy products. So this pipeline should be present here. And to see the ingested data, let me go to this data page. In the data page, go to this linked tab and expand this one integration, this one files. Let me see the path. So the product data is the folder we created. Inside that you can see a product CSV has been copied to your Azure Data Lake Gen2. Now you can preview this data by doing the right click and click on preview. See, the data has been copied and you can preview it.
Yes, now that you have completed exploring your Synapse Analytics, now let's have a quick knowledge check. So which feature of Azure Synapse Analytics enables you to transfer data from one store to another and apply transformation to the data at scheduled intervals? Yes, you're right. That is pipelines. So you want to create a data warehouse in Azure Synapse Analytics in which the data is stored and queried in a relational data store.